Thank you. We always like to start on time and end on time. Those clocks are off. So they're a little early, just so you are mentally prepared for that. Thank you for coming today. If you're like me, you saw all those other great presentations that are going on right now, and you can really go over some of those anchor activities. I really like hearing that, but we're really glad you're here because you know the impact that you're going to have on those new teachers who impact so many children, and so we're glad that you're here for them. We're going to get right into our intro activity today. If you open up in your packets to the first page, there's an article called Self-Managing, Self-Monitoring, and Self-Modifying. What I'd like you to do is read through that article, and on the opposite page, go ahead and write a couple of notes about your thoughts on here, what resonates with you, what you see valuable to you as a mentor. Maybe you want to underline things or smiley face, however you like to take notes, please do that. looks like a number of you are ready to move on. You can feel free to finish writing your thoughts. But I would just like you to share out maybe some things that really stood out to you, or you really thought, I really need to remember this. Any of those thoughts, feel free to just share out.
At first, they all seem the same to me. I don't know if they're all the same, and I know it's very intertwined. But then afterwards, I'll tell you that self-management is before the fact. You're already thinking of it to begin with. And then the next one happens during the activity. You're kind of, right now, this is happening, and taking it from there. And then the last one is a kind of reflection. After it happened, I was think about it and change what I want to.
As I was reading through, I noticed for myself that sometimes when I go back and do the self-monitoring and self-modify for my own personal point of view, I sometimes see that as a weakness of mine, thinking, well, how can I just be confident to move forward? And yet this kind of is saying that it's actually the opposite. It's not a weakness to go back and make sure that you know where you're supposed to be. So,
Good, good. Any other thoughts yet?
When I was looking through it, you had said to try to apply it like to a mentoring, and so I was picking out the words that made sense to me. Was the reflection, choices, listening, experience. Those are all parts of being a mentor. To do that, and that you have a plan of action in order to move forward, and that really follows what we do in an account, is that we all have a plan of action to move forward, and yet we have to be reflective upon that.
Yes. All those things we are constantly working on as mentors. Any other?
To what degree does the racing council listen on colleagues play in our deciding our vision, deciding what we're going to do? In other words, we work on faculty as a team, so.
And that, I find that to be so valuable too, to have so many sounding boards, and when you come here, there's so many people, and you can reach out to people who do the same as you, and to work on those goals together.
The other question is, where's our work guidance fit into this?
That's true. Always that. Do we need to put when we use these really articles that give us guidance? Good. Well, with that, I think I'd like to draw your attention to our norms that we always follow: equity of voice, active listening, safety to share perspectives, and of course, confidentiality. And then we'd like to also do our famous whip around. So we'll share our names, where we serve, and then kind of your roles as a mentor, what you are doing for us. I'll begin. I'm Erin Dewey. I teach at St. John Waterloo in 5th and 6th grade, and I'm the co-lead mentor of the Western Wisconsin District.
Kate Heath, I teach kindergarten at St. John's of Bonneville. I am also the co-lead mentor in Western Wisconsin, and I'm mentoring a second-year teacher at St. John's Jefferson.
I'm Erica, currently teaching grades 3 through 5 at our Xavier in Grafton. I'm the co-lead mentor in Southeastern Wisconsin, Northern Wisconsin, and I'm Kathy's support team.
Kathy Horn, interim coordinator for new teacher induction. I'm mentoring 7 new teachers, 2 veteran teachers, co-lead mentor for Southeastern Wisconsin, South Atlantic District in Northern Wisconsin, and South Atlantic.
Julie Seeger, I teach preschool and middle school technologies at Manual and Metric, and I have 2 mentees in first year teachers.
I teach 3rd and 4th grade at St. John's Jefferson, Wisconsin, and I mentor at St. Paul, Missouri.
I'm Rachel Burgess. I serve as director and preschool teacher in Alabama, Wisconsin, and my 2 mentees are in Ghana. And one is a first-year director and teacher preschool, and the other teaches kindergarten.
My name is Mike Henning, assistant principal, 7th grade teacher at St. John's in All Girls. And I'm currently mentoring one of
one?
Tuesday, kindergarten, which, Tuesday, kindergarten, begin, and Trinity Leadership. I have, one new teacher and one second teacher.
Cindy Holman, coordinator for early childhood industry. Currently, I'm actually a second year teacher. Informally, I have a handful of early childhood first and second year teachers.
Kathy Burns, teach kindergarten program in WELS. My husband to be a teacher in grade six.
So Miller, I teach some classes in 5, and 7. On top of Hamilton, I'm a teacher, and the story life. And I teach first grade and 11 and Milwaukee, and I'm next in the first year teacher in this week. I have a second year mentee at St. Paul's Capital, second year mentee at the first year with I'm Karen Bradley. I teach kindergarten in South Prairie, East Lutheran, and I have 2 teachers I'm mentoring, one first year teacher and one second.
Lived in California, retired, and mentor the physical apprentices that were assigned this past
Linda Baldwin, I'm here at St. Joseph in Myra, and fully mentored in the Wisconsin district. I have a second year mentee at WLA. I have a second year mentee at 6th grade in Lutheran, and a first year mentee who teaches 5th grade in Trinity. I'm attending UNA, and a first year mentee who teaches 5th grade in
Rachel Pearson, I am a 6th grade teacher in technology at Trinity Township. I have first year mentee at St. John's.
I'm Greg Lucia, I teach 7th and 8th grade at Morrison Lutheran School in Greenville, Wisconsin. I have a second year mentee at St. Mark's Xavier, first year at St. Mark's Xavier, and the first year at Sherwood Valley International.
I teach 3rd grade and preschool and 3rd grade, and I have a first year mentee, also teaches 3rd grade and
Well, thank you. I know we've got some people online, so welcome to them as well. We'll figure out how to let them whip around sometime in the future as we grow in our technology as well. With that, I think we're ready to move on to the learning portion of our session this morning.
If you draw your attention to the front of the packet, the objectives for our plan today are there. The last 2 objectives touch on goal setting, which we will get to, but before we can even jump into goal setting, it all starts with our mindset. And maybe some of you had the chance to take the quiz that was sent out earlier this week to find out whether or not you were a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And that's where we'd like to start a discussion in our learning today. So I have 2 stories to tell you and have you consider as we begin our learning portion. The first story unfolds October. Teacher conferences. 3 adults are gathered around a table to discuss the successes and challenges of a student. The teacher's palms are sweaty, her heart is racing, a little bit like me right now. And the words come out. Whether or not they were scripted or said in a bit of frustration, your daughter is struggling. She's not going to make it through high school. "15 years later, that same student who was not going to make it through high school is in her 3rd year of teaching. Another story unfolds. A student is standing amongst peers at the beginning of the semester of art classes. All of her life, she had been told she has the creativity and the gifts to be a great artist, but as she's standing around and looking at her peers and seeing their work, her inside start to crumble, realizing she may not have the talents to make it in this class. Hard work, dedication, effort, careful listening to instruction. The weeks go by and midterm comes. And the teacher takes her aside and says, "You worked so hard this semester. You've made so much progress. You're at the top of our class." Mindset is everything. How you think about what you're doing, what you want to do, where you're going is everything. In our values as mentors, one of the first things we ever say is that as Christian educators, we believe that our best effort is an act of worship. That means settling for status quo is never enough, because there's always some way that we can improve, some way we can do something better, even if it's in the smallest way. Your mindset about how you are a mentor greatly affects not only you as an educator, but the beginning teachers that you are working with. To help us get a picture of what a fixed mindset mentor looks like and what a growth mindset mentor looks like, there is a diagram, is the best way I could come up with. A diagram in your packet on mindset. We could probably develop a double section on mindset and gain a lot of understanding on it. There's so much we can talk about, so much research that's been done on it. I want you to look at this diagram and read through the differences, and then put it into light for all of us in the room right here. Looking at the different characteristics of fixed mindset versus growth mindset, what does it look like in a mentor? What does a mentor say if they have a fixed mindset? What does a mentor do if they have a fixed mindset? Same on the growth side. I'd like you to collaborate with the people at your table to come up with a few ideas. We will be putting them on the teacher in the back of the whiteboard back there. So think about it, read through the diagram, and discuss what the table mates on these two things.
Erin is going to do us a favor and write up our thoughts on the T-chart back there. Remember, we're talking about things that a fixed mindset mentor or a growth mindset mentor would be saying or doing with that type of mindset. And let's start just on the fixed mindset mentor side. Ideas of things that you would be saying to a fixed mindset.
So our discussion centered around mentees who are assistant teachers, right? I think they're doing really, really well. And so it's easy as a mentor to say, this is a piece of cake. There's not a, it's easy to back off a little bit. So the fixed, this was a challenge, this was a reminder for me. So the fixed mindset is, she's fine.
That is actually huge and something that I will be talking about a little bit later.
But on the flip side, the growth mindset is, while we're looking at the standards, we're really looking at the continuum. We're really spending a lot of time on the continuum and encouraging that, the joy of continuing going. Thank you.
Julie, kind of on the opposite of what Cindy said, is you do have a mentee who's struggling, kind of thinking, well, that's their perspective, they're never going to be strong in that area. So kind of avoiding those tricky conversations or those topics. So maybe just avoiding it. But then on the growth side, challenging them to grow even in their areas of weakness.
Go ahead, please.
The other day, I got a call from one of the young men that I'm working with, and said that we've got a third grade boy that's has this, and this problem. And fixed mindset would say, we need to give that problem to somebody else, somebody who's an expert, and not deal with it ourselves, rather than asking the question, what is the problem? Or what are the problems? What resources do we have? How much experience do we have as teachers and administrator and parents? I think sometimes it's too easy for us to say, I don't have the expertise. We sell ourselves short. And I can assure you people that over the years, I've gotten that impression, kind of the general impression from WELS teachers that we just are too humble. And please don't misunderstand that. We just don't recognize all the gifts and talents and abilities that we have. I think that's a fixed mindset.
Thank you. And your response to that?
What I'm hearing that is attitude. And attitude can be on your side. I can't do this, or let's work on what we can do. Let's identify our gifts and let's identify our goals. And then go from there. So the attitude coming into the whole relationship of a mentor and a mentee.
I think it was kind of more keynote a little bit. She talked about the attitude. You have your goals. How do you? Just the next question is how do we get there? Like, what are we going to do to get those kids there? So you have goals, and then two is just to do it.
And the understanding too that with goals comes those action steps, but also the hard work and the dedication. You can set as many goals as you want, but if you don't have the dedication to carry them out, that goal setting is just as good as having that fixed mindset over on that side. Anything else to add to our teacher? Go ahead. I was going to be a fixed mindset would be thinking that your mentee is doing something wrong and not doing the way that you would. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Great. And then I guess those are all going to be, what's your plan? What are you All right, a lot of great ideas out there. Any last thoughts, final thoughts before we keep moving towards goal setting? Thanks for writing those up there, Erin. The area that we really want to focus on today, that fixed mindset versus growth mindset, is the idea of growth, even if they're doing fine. We as a mentoring team have kind of set out our goal to have these beginning teachers have accelerated growth. It's one of the things we just, really push, is that when they're mentored, they'll make so much more growth in the 2 years than as if they weren't being mentored. But that's only happening if good mentoring is going on, because like you said, if they come in and they're a great teacher, and you just continue to let them be a great teacher like that instead of pushing them towards growth and continuing, then at the end of the 2 years, where are they still? Their teacher. Not a great teacher like we want. And we have to be careful as mentors that we aren't wearing that growth mindset mask, but deep inside we actually have a fixed mindset about it. So it's just something to reflect on and be aware of. We know that having a fixed mindset as mentors is going to, unfortunately, probably negatively affect our beginning teachers. And I think one of the things, too, that we have to remember is that even if we have a growth mindset, we may be working with a teacher who doesn't have a growth mindset. And part of our jobs as mentors is to encourage the shift in mindset. And I can say this because I went through the mentoring program. Tracy was my mentor. And and I know that when I started that, I mean, as a mentor now, I look back on beginning teachers and I see all of the things that I know I did and the ways that I felt. The pride, because I had it. I'm good. I don't need help. Good enough. All of that gets in the way of them growing, and as hard as it is for us as mentors to push them sometimes, it's what we're here to do and what we have to do. For us to live up to it and for us to be faithful to what we say we are going to do in the mentoring program. And we want to encourage that also, that the mentor ourselves, another mindset, that we ourselves are continuously growing. And that's just another great reason why you are all here today. To facilitate, or not to facilitate, to collaborate on just ideas on how we can be better at goal setting and holding ourselves accountable to the goals as mentors and to our beginning teachers' goals. To help us in that today, we are going to do a little goal setting exercise. Before we leave that mindset, knowing everyone with the understanding, hopefully, that we all want that growth mindset, there's one last thing I want to leave you with. Having to do with mindset. A quote that I read somewhere, I think it really speaks a lot. The passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it, even or especially when it's not going well, is the hallmark of the growth mindset. This is the mindset that allows people to thrive during some of the most challenging times in life. When you're finished mentoring your teacher at 2 years, they're not going to stop being a teacher. And by the end of the 2 years, you have to equip them so that they can meet the rest of the challenges. Not that you won't be a phone call away, because I know I still call Tracy every once in a while. We're not mentor-mentee on paper anymore, but in life we always will be. But you have to equip your beginning teachers to have that mindset to reach out and to grow and to continue throughout their teaching ministry. Otherwise, in a couple of years, we're going to be stuck with a bunch of teachers who have been fine with status quo. Goal setting. Let's move on to that. Sorry, back it up a little bit. Continuous improvement cycle. And goal setting, to help us kind of get on the understanding of how we continue in our growth mindset, what it looks like as mentors. There's a continuous improvement cycle in your packet. It's a little bit dark. Hopefully you can make out the words: reflect, self-assessment, goal setting, action steps, data collection, analysis. What does this remind you of? Yes. for teachers, what does it remind you of? Teaching. You lesson plan, you teach the lesson, you assess, you reflect, you make changes, okay? You do the same thing as teachers, or as mentors. Today we want to focus specifically on goal setting because I have to be honest, this is not to toot my own horn, but I love setting goals. When I turned 25 was my golden year of life. I had a poster with 25 things I wanted to accomplish in my 25th year of life, and I accomplished most of them. Because when I set a goal, I'm going to accomplish it. Or at least I'm going to try because that is what goals were made for, not for sitting on paper.
But I realize that that is not how everyone operates in life. And I know this because I have presented one too many professional developments for our faculty, and we get to the goal setting portion, and everyone's like, "What do you mean set a goal? What are you talking about? I don't even know where to begin on this."
So I have come up with a little bit of a breakdown, help you think a little bit more about how you set goals. Flip to the back side of that continuous improvement cycle. Thank you, Spark Curriculum, for their acronyms. In Spark, you use the acronym FIT to talk about how often you exercise. What's your frequency? What's your intensity? What's your time? And what's your type? Okay. And I was looking at this and I thought, well, this is a great way to think about the things that we do as mentors or as teachers, and to break it down first. So today for our exercise, we are going to think specifically on you as a mentor using the mentor tools, the CAP, the, somebody help me out, all the tools, they're escaping me. Coaching and observation ones, the scripting, self-descripting, ASW. Okay, all of those tools that have been given, some of us have maybe not gotten to the coaching and observation class yet. There are many tools that are coming your way to help with measuring and observation. Okay, so the first question I want you to reflect on and answer underneath the frequency button, or blurb, is how frequently are you using the mentoring tools? Once a month? Once a quarter? Once a year? Never. How frequently are you using any of those tools?
Or in general?
In general, as the mentor. Next is intensity. Now, this one I think is really, really great. When I was thinking about the questions to ask to go with intensity. Because if you know what the tools are, that means you've taken the course and you know how to use them. But intensity. Do you reread your notes on how to use the tools every time before you use them? Do you reflect on the positive and negative aspects of their use in your observation? And do you make full use of their capabilities? Are you doing a pre-observation meeting and a post-observation meeting? We were just at a co-lead mentor, or lead mentor forum this past week, and they were talking about coaching and observation, and I asked about a refresher course because there is so much that you learn in 2 days about the observation. I don't know how anyone thinks they've mastered it after those 2 days. Even after a year of practicing it, there's just no way. How intensely are you using these tools in your mentoring practice? The third one, time. How much time do you put into using these tools? Do you race through a 5-minute Cal conversation to get it done with? Check it off the list, put it on the survey? Or are you spending a good 20 to 30 minutes in a reflective conversation with your mentee? and finding what type of mentoring tools are you using. Have you varied your use of them? Or were you only sticking with the catalog? Because that's what you're comfortable with and you know it best. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the Cal, but are we using a variety? Okay, this makes it easy for you. I think it's seating charts. Yeah, seating movement. Okay. See, we all have various mentorship. What are the names of our mentoring tools? All right, you have been sitting for far too long. I realize that because all of my energy is going on as I'm moving around. Please do me a very quick favor. Find the area in which you feel you could grow most in. Is it your frequency, your intensity, your type, and your time? Find someone in the room that you have not met yet, maybe on a very strong level, only by name, and share with them the area in which you would like to grow in your use of mentoring tools. Stand up and move around. I'll give you about a minute and a half, so find them quickly. I had the wonderful privilege of spending 7 weeks this summer in Malawi. And as I was in Malawi, I got a list. It was. I'll tell you more about it later. It was definitely, sorry, I forgot, because it wasn't specifically go to Malawi. No, definitely not. While I was there, I was also training for a marathon, which is on my bucket list, and now completed. But to be honest, Blantyre, where we're in, was covered in hills. Well, the worst place to train for a marathon ever. But when I was there, before I left, I had told Nathan Lash, one of my team members, who is a phenomenal runner. I said, Nathan, I'm training to run a marathon. And he said, I will gladly be your accountability buddy. Are you familiar with that term? Accountability buddy. All too often, we as mentors, we as teachers, and especially our beginning teachers, set goals, have high aspirations of accomplishing them. We don't tell anybody. Maybe we tell someone, but we don't ask them to hold us accountable. If you want to see your goals happen, put them on a poster. Post it on Facebook. Tell the world that you are going to try to accomplish this goal. Because I can guarantee you somebody is going to hold you accountable to it. But if you don't find that person, all too easy, our human nature is probably going to fail on those goals. You had a chance to talk with some people about, or one person about an area in which you think you would like to grow in, and maybe as you're thinking this afternoon, you've kind of decided a goal that you would like to accomplish. When you exit today, you will be writing that goal down. And maybe for yourself and for everyone as a group, as a team of mentors, you can even write down who you would like to hold you accountable. Maybe it's your co-lead mentor in your district. Maybe it's another mentor that you will keep you accountable in that way. But let's not be those people who set goals and never accomplish them. Because that will translate to our beginning teachers. And before you know it, we'll have a bunch of beginning teachers or teachers who set a lot of goals and don't get anywhere in their path. We are going to wrap up with a little reflecting today before we get into Kathy's managing. I think it's on the bottom of underneath the frequency, intensity, time, and type. What new things have you learned today, or maybe you knew them but you were reintroduced to some ideas that you think are important for you to take as a mentor, or that you can also share with your mentee. Record some of those new thoughts and consider how you're going to share them with your mentee in the next session. The wonderful thing about mindset before we finish today is that even if you took the quiz, I can't imagine too many people would end up with a lot of fixed mindsets because we're mentors. But the wonderful thing about mindset is that you can be coached into the positive side of a growth mindset. And that's something also to keep in mind, that even if you may have a beginning teacher who is kind of fixed on not growing, or that they're doing fine, things are okay, there's always a way to coach them into that mindset of good enough is not good enough. I want the best for my students, for my faculty, for my school, and ultimately the best for the student.
So we're all here to grow and to really reflect upon what our mindset is as mentors. So thank you all for setting this time aside of your busy lives and it's your conference to be here to grow together and to learn together and to set goals together. I'm just going to share mine, is that I want to be accountable to every single mentee, that we always keep those goals as part of our conversation. What I have found over the years is that we might set them in August or September, and then we get into stuff, and they kind of blur. So I want to set that goal that I will always bring that up, have that on my cal, so that I remember how is this applying to the goals that we have set. Do we need to change those goals at all? And how do they fit with the standards as well? I have some little thank yous here to hand out to Rachel Burgess and to Kate Heath. As part of Southeastern Wisconsin Teacher District project, they have received a grant, and we are able to award a voucher for continued training. And Rachel and Kate were the selected people for that, and so we can give them a home. So thank yous from SCWNTP that we will send in as a thank you to the people who were able to give that money to the district. So we're very happy about that as well. Questions have come up about training in your MAL or your MAC. If you weren't at any of the summer forums at all, the MAC is the Mentor Accountability Calendar that was emailed to all of you electronically. And you've been, most of you have been faithfully checking out what you've been doing with that. Well, we have found that that is very burdensome, especially for those of you who are mentoring many people. And so John Shaver has committed, his goal is to always send every month the survey. And so the survey is all you have to turn in, is that. The calendar, though, is your framework so that your conversations, and you know what's happening, to help you forward as you're working with your mentees. So I think that just lifted off a big burden on everybody. It's just a survey. With that, I have found that the calendar, though, very helpful in driving my conversations and what I'm going to be talking about too with that. So that's good. What you have on your packet, you see some upcoming mentor forums where we can continue to grow together. With that, we have some to be determined places, although Western Wisconsin told me earlier today they will be at St. Mark's. I don't know about the time, but you will get information with that as time comes closer. But we're giving you all those different opportunities. If you want to go to all of them, have at it. If you only want to go to the ones that are offered in your specific district, we certainly would appreciate that. Because we're as the inventors, we work together to come up with, we will have pretty much the same topic with that, but there will be a couple of variations based upon your needs. As Kate said, talk to your lead mentors. That's what we're here for, is to hear from you. We might be talking about stuff that we think we want to share with you, but we really want to hear from you so that we are meeting your needs. That's why we're here. And so communication is very, very important for that. We thank you for all of those that are communicating with that. The newsletters will continue to come out. We didn't send one out in October just yet. October isn't over. We knew we would be seeing many of you this over these next or these past 2 days. But one will come up with wrap up and with future trainings that are coming and a couple of other things with that. Something that I wanted to touch base on is the Wisconsin licensing. A couple of questions have come up with that. I think in your calendars, your mentor calendars, to start talking in January with your teachers about obtaining a Wisconsin license and taking them through that process. Something that I always tell my mentees, Minnesota gives them a K-6 license. In the state of Wisconsin, in order to have K on your license, you have to student teach in kindergarten for 16 weeks. So what I tell my mentees is, don't ask for that K. When you're applying to Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, ask for a 1 to 5 license, or 1 to 6 or 1 to 8, but don't put that K on there unless you want to go somewhere and student teach for 16 weeks. And that works out very well with that. When you get into the part of wanting to write your professional development plan a year from after your new teacher has been there, everything is online now. And you need to register at, there are two websites. One is free, so I'll only share that one. It's called ReadCan. And those of you who hold licenses, you will use your license number on that to set up an account. If you don't, there's other ways of doing it. That will come out in the newsletter. I will give you more information on that. I'll give you the specific website and all that. But those are just some things I want to discuss here. Yes, Joan?
Oh, just a question about those licenses. You have run into the number of vendors who
And there we are with the growth mindset.
Well, I'm sure that that's, one of the things that people are saying is to do is, they feel that they're always going to be in the last. And that, I can encourage them, but I can, I don't know where else to do that.
I just have a question about that because I'm on Minnesota license, our graduates are Minnesota licensed. So I do see the value of having a Wisconsin license, but at the same time, I've looked into it and you have to maintain all the requirements of the more strong. So it sounds like you'd rather them have Wisconsin than Minnesota.
I have them, the ones that I work with, I ask them to maintain both because you don't know where the Lord's going to call you. You also don't know what requirements are going to happen along the road. Are we going to be required to be licensed teachers along the way? So why not do it while we can? And if you have a Minnesota license, it's so much easier to obtain that Wisconsin one. And writing a professional development plan costs nothing. You don't have to take coursework to keep that up. And many of the things that you will do for that professional development plan with your Wisconsin license will also carry over to your Minnesota license. So you aren't doing two separate things, but they're working together with that. It's really, it's going to be up to you and your mentee. That's how I personally work with them, is to maintain all of that because you really don't know where you're at.
Well, I just thought, actually, just wanted to get some insight about whether, since we're speaking very strongly about the living as inside, whether this was going to be demanded of them.
What I see happening down the road, if I go back 10, 12 years, especially because I'm in the urban setting, I see more and more demands happening for people. Well, you just never know. You never know what's going to happen. So I'd rather be prepared for it. And I never know what's going to happen in my life either. So I'm just preparing for it. And that's you're hearing personal lives.
Well, and when I went there to teaching, the first thing I did was to go back there. So the first thing I did was to get mask. And I said, I did that. But I didn't have a job. Our teachers have jobs. And that's how you have to see that urgency.
Michelle, you wanted to add?
I was just going to say, I think one of these accountability as a teacher, that it's a problem with professional, just like between professional organizations. It is that growth mindset, but it's also I'm taking steps to improve my practice. I'm taking steps to show, whether it's your schools and other foundational members or it's a very diverse setting, someone coming in goes, oh, they have their license. And or pursuing advanced degrees or whatever it is that funds accountability. Which is really useful. And I was going to say for your mentee to say, I was going to be in a rural school, there are many rural schools, so they're quite require their teachers to get that license.
Ricky, want to add?
The state license also provides a focus for your professional development as well. I get my license right away without college. So my professional development is kind of scattered all over the place. A little bit this and a little bit that. This section, there's no real focus to it. Professional development plan focuses, which is
everything that they said. And another thing that I think of when I think of licensure, sort of like what Michelle was saying, that it gives credibility to parents who may not even understand it, but I think our parents look at education differently. And when they read that term license, what I look at it as is a barrier forward. You know, it is a way of keeping the door open to a family or a parent or a child, because they look at that like this is a kind of teacher. So it's a good to me.
Okay, it's the virus.
We will be sending out, or talking about mentor standards in future forums. Those of you who are veteran mentors, we started rolling out mentor standards last year in the forums. We will continue to roll that out. If you are a new mentor, we will try to get you up to speed as to what mentor standards are and how they work into your entire practice with that. And also just a quick that there is a new teacher center symposium that's offered every year, and where everybody is welcome to it. You do have to find your own funds for it. But it is a phenomenal place to go. Monica's going to lead us through the closing.
As one of our knowledge is the Gujarat, I'm going to have you just read the greatest non-sign code during your leisure time. You can process it through at your time. But what I'd like you to do closing is for all of us to read that Ephesians 4, 11 to 13 passage together. It was he who gave some to be apostles, some to be prophets, some to be evangelists, and some to be pastors and teachers, to prepare God's people for works of service, so that the body of Christ may be built up until we all reach unity in the faith and in the knowledge of the Son of God, and become mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ. This blends in so well. Teachers. Thank you for all that. These are teachers. Have a great rest of your day. Oh, you may hand your exit ticket to me. Like Kathy said, this helps us develop our future mentor plan based on what you have said as well.